Well, anyway, folks, we're at the time of the show where we get to know our guests even better. And you thought you knew them pretty well after that incredible top 10 that we hardly even wrote. That was not expecting that.
10%, you know.
If we're lucky. That was amazing. Folks, you know them well. Best friends, Joe Liechty and Paul Keim.
Why can't we be friends? 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 Why can't we be friends?
Well, first of all, let me say that we here...
Micro. Oh, yeah, thank you.
We're big fans. Big fans here. We just want to say that up front. We wish best friends as good as you two are best friends. It's a lifelong goal. But the big thing we were wondering is right off the bat, I mean, we know you talk a lot about tea time, both being from Wise 3, and we tried, maybe not successfully, to give you the proper amenities. You were a little bit demanding.
Yeah, well, of course.
And we were wondering, was it satisfactory backstage in our green room?
It has worked. It has worked. Thank you for your efforts.
Well, I just know that you had differing ideas of what was acceptable. And Paul, you'd ask for something much different.
I'm really a coffee drinker.
Well, Joe, for the people who don't know, could you tell them what is acceptable tea? Like, or could you just tell them what good tea is?
Well, it's got to be loose leaf, preferably Barry's Classic Blend from County Cork. I mean, why not go for the nose?
Yeah. And how does it have to be prepared? Because I feel like that's important.
Well, the water has to be at a full rolling boil. It can't have been at a full rolling boil 10 seconds ago. It has to be at a full rolling boil when you pour it in. Stir, let it steep about 4 minutes. You're good to go.
Paul, is that good tea?
Yes,
That is good tea.
I won't ask Joe this because I'm not sure I'll get a straight answer from him. But Paul, could you tell us, have there ever been times where Joe's gotten a little defensive of how the tea is made? I feel like when you have such high standards, stuff happens.
So, you know, John D., innocent John D., one day needed, tea, and Joe wasn't around. So, I mean, us terrestrials can't. And so John put a used tea bag into a little cup and poured really, really hot tap water over it. And I thought that was just fine. But we tried to keep it quiet.
Now, John D's worst offense, however, there was a reasonably good pot of tea. Jan Scheller can make a decent pot of tea. But John
In the house tonight.
So the pot is empty, so John D goes and pours hot water over the used tea. And then he pours this cup of tea, and this inspired my now famous remark, my pee is darker than that. In context.
Well, I have to admit, I love tea time. As having a lot of classes on Wise 3, I've been able to go to a few tea times. And
But no classes with me, David.
Sadly. Well, I mean, Sunday school count.
Oh, okay, Sunday school.
I have to say, one of my favorite moments of tea time was watching sweet John D. trying to make tea, and Joe had been gone for a week. He comes back, slings open the door, and throws his arms in the air and says, "I'm back!" Looks at John, John quivers, and he says, "John, don't even think about making the tea."
cowering in the corner.
Well, since we've been billing this night as kind of like a night of best friends coming on, we were wondering, do you have any stories about your friendship? I mean, you've been here a while. I mean, professors together. Are there any stories that are like more memorable to you?
Of course, we go way back.
We go way back.
There's a news clipping on my bulletin board that shows how we were academic all-state athletes.
C+ averages are better.
Yeah, and a pulse. What else?
Well, there are countless stories, but I think there is one story that says so much about our friendship.
I think I know.
I think you know where I'm going here. So this takes place, I think, in 2004, 2005. There's a faculty retreat that was set up at the Amigo Center before school starts. Paul and I are driving back in my dad's pickup. We need to get gas just south of Middlebury.
And the reason we're driving back is that we don't want to stay overnight.
That's right, because they're going to put us in the snorer's cabin. Yeah, so we're driving back, and so we need gas. Stop at this gas station. It's the last one in northern Indiana where you can't pay with a credit card. So I go in and I pay, and this is where things start to get a little hairy. Now anytime you see me pay for gas, you will see me stop, stand still, and put my credit card in my wallet and then move on. But no, I have to get all fancy. I have to try to put the credit card in my wallet while I'm walking. Okay. So this is my first, I'm courting danger already, and then we just get a perfect storm of disaster potential and somewhere I even negotiate a door while I'm doing this, and I get out there and there's a step. And it's not a real step. It's one of those horrible little 2-inch steps that you just barely notice. And I hit that step, and I'm going down. So, things slow way, way down. There's an existential moment here where basically you could say 2 roads diverge on a really oily gas station forecourt, and I've got to decide which road am I going to take. One road is the road of resistance. It's the road of, I'm not going to fall even though I'm falling. I'm going to stagger across this court, regain my balance, and hope that nobody has noticed. The other road is the road, kind of a Zen road, where you simply accept. And one mindfully tucks and rolls. And so I opt for tucking and rolling. And I have to say, I think I executed it beautifully. But even executing it beautifully, there are bits and pieces of my pockets scattering here and there. And so this one woman comes up to me and, oh dear, are you all right? And I go, come on, shouldn't you be fawning over my athleticism?
85,
something like that, yeah. So then I gather my things, I look up at the pickup truck, and there is Paul, busting a gun. So let's turn to what's Paul's perspective.
That's very different than I experienced. I was sitting in the pickup. Russ's pickup, vintage, had a very big windscreen. So I was waiting for Joe.
Like a 55-inch flat screen.
Oh yeah. And I was able to watch the flora and the fauna as I waited. And of course, I didn't notice. I saw him starting to come out, but I didn't see the little step. And so the first thing I noticed was Joe launching himself like one of those dirigibles. So this is what I saw, and exactly as Joe experienced it, though. You know those experiences when time slows and you experience life frame by frame? That's the way I saw it, on the big screen, Joe. I almost believe I see his mind working, the vision of the roads, and choosing for the roll. And so he rises and rolls. It was prodigious role. It seemed to take 5 minutes, but it went down. I half expected that the beauty of the role, I half expected that he would roll and come back to his feet. That didn't happen. And so the poor woman who came to the rescue was somewhat traumatized. So Joe picked himself up and thanked his benefactor and came back to the truck. Now he remembers me laughing uncontrollably, but that really is not the case. I was simply trying to catch my breath. Because, as I said to him when he opened the door on the driver's side,
And what would a best friend say in this circumstance?
exactly, I believe, what I said.
Okay.
And I meant every word. That's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen.
So there's a clear moral in this, I think. It's best friends are there to celebrate life's aesthetic and athletic triumphs.
All right, that I find it beautiful. Just touching. I think that's all the time we got. Unfortunately, we had so much fun here. It's flying. Thank you so much for coming on. We really appreciate it.